Hello everyone, my name is Jyoti Kiran and today in this video I am going to teach you about the past tense. The past tense is a verb tense used for the past activity or a past state of being. The past tense is categorized further depending on whether the action was in progress or has been completed. The four categories of past tense are simple past tense, past continuous tense, past perfect tense and past perfect continuous. The very first simple past tense is used to describe a completed activity, an activity that started in the past and ended in the past. Here we use the second form of verb with the subject. See the example. She worked in a bank. So worked is the second form of work. Next is past continuous tense. It is also known as past progressive tense. It is used to describe an ongoing activity in the past. And here we use auxiliary verbs like was and were with the first form of verb and ing. See the example. She was working in a bank. Was working. With work we have used ing. Third is past perfect tense. It is used to emphasize that an action was completed before another took place. Here we use had with the third form of verb. See the example. She had worked in a bank. And the last is past perfect continuous. This tense is used to show that an ongoing action in the past has ended. See the example. She had been working in a bank. So here we use had plus been plus first form of verb with ing. Now we will study about these types in detail. Simple past tense. It is used to indicate or describe something that happened or existed in the past. That means the action happened in the past and it finished in the past also. For example, I went to the cinema yesterday. Went here we have used to describe the simple past. Next is they met him. Third is we spent a lot of time in our village. So in all these examples, the action happened in the past and got over in the past. Not to commit mistake while writing English grammar, we should know where to use the correct type of tense. So when should we use the past simple? The first one is when we have to talk about the finished actions, states or habits. See the example. We went to the cinema yesterday. Second example says I spent good time with her. So in both the sentences the action is over now. Secondly, general knowledge about past. See the example. Who painted Mona Lisa? Leonardo painted Mona Lisa. So these are the actions which took place in the past, but whenever we have to talk about these, we will be using past simple. Next is for stories or list of events. See the example. She ordered the coffee when she went to the cafe. Next is I turned on the music when I reached home. Study the example carefully. We have used twice the second form of verb. Read the sentence once again. She ordered the coffee. This is the first event which happened when she went to the cafe. So in the second part we have used went. So this action, she went to the cafe, this was the first action and then she ordered the coffee. So this is the list of event. Or if I am telling about a story which happened yesterday, I turned on the music. This is the first part in which I have used the second verb And then when I reached home, so reached, second form of verb. And at last, when you are talking about something unreal or imaginary things of present or future. See the example. If I won the lottery, I would buy big house. So this is something unreal which has not happened. So that is why in the first part I have used the second form of verb. If I won the lottery, I would. Would is also the past form of will. So I have used past simple. See the next example. I wish I had more time. So here I wish. I am talking in the present. I had more time. Had is the second form of have. So this is something which is not real. This is something which I am wishing for. So here I can use simple past tense. These are the rules which we use while using past simple tense. For assertive sentences with subject, we use the second form of verb, then object. See the example. She wrote a letter. She is the subject, wrote is the second form of verb, and then object is a letter. To make a negative sentence, we have to use did not. She did not write a letter. You have to remember this. Did is the second form of do. So when we are using did in the sentence, then the next verb will be the first form of verb. So here write is the first form of verb, but did has been used, which is already the second form of verb. See the interrogative. Did plus subject, then first form of verb, then object. Did she write a letter? So did has already been used. That is why we have used write. That is the first form of verb. You can pause the video, note down the rules, and keep in mind that with did we always use first form of verb. If you are clear with the rules, then these are the practice sentences. You can pause the video, note these sentences, and try to write these answers. After writing the answers, you can resume the video to check your answers. Here are the answers. Hope your all answers are correct. Pause the video to check your answers. Let's understand now what is past continuous. It is the tense which is used to indicate an ongoing event in the past. So, what was happening in the past? First example, John was baking a cake. They were painting the fence. She was writing on her notebook. So these all sentences indicate that these actions were happening in the past, but they are not happening right now. So these are the rules which we apply for making past continuous tense. In assertive sentences with subject, we use was or were, then first form of verb with ing, and then the object. We have to keep this in mind that with I, he, she, it, or a singular noun, we use was, and with you, we, they, or plural noun, we use were. For negative sentence with subject, then was or were plus not, then first form of verb, then ing, and then object. And for interrogative, we use was or verb at first place, then subject, then first form of verb, then ing and object. See the example. For assertive, she was writing a letter. In negative, she was not writing a letter. In interrogative, was she writing a letter? We should know that where we can use past continuous tense. First of all, for an action in the past which overlaps another action. For example, I was walking to the station when I met him. So here, I started walking before I met John, and maybe I continued afterwards. Secondly, we use it for the background story. For example, the students were chatting and laughing. Sophie entered the class and sat quietly. You can note in the first part of this sentence I have used past continuous by using were chatting and laughing, and in the second part of the sentence I have used past simple tense by using entered as a second form of verb and sat, that is also the second form of verb. This tense is really useful when you are writing a story. Thirdly, we used past continuous to emphasize that lasted for a while. For example, she was watching movie all day. Then they were reading for hours. So we have used all day, for hours, because these were the happenings which lasted for some time. Pause the video to write the answers of these practice sentences. When you are done with the answers, you can resume the video to check your answers. Pause the video once again to check your answers. Hope you have corrected all the answers. Next is past perfect tense, and we use it to describe a completed activity in the past. That means it is used to emphasize that an action was completed before another action took place. For example, John had baked the cake before the guests arrived, and then she had talked to him over the phone when her parents suggested. Before understanding its usage, let's concentrate on the rules of past perfect tense. See, in assertive, we have used subject plus had, third form of verb, and then object. See the example, she had written a letter. In negative, we use not with had, and rest of the sentence remains the same. She had not written a letter. And in interrogative, we use had at the first place, then subject, and then the third form of verb. Had she written a letter? You can pause the video to note down the rules. Let's learn when we can use past perfect tense. First of all, we use it for a finished action before a second point in the past. For example, when we arrived at the theater, the movie had started. That means the movie started first and then we arrived there. See the second example, I had eaten dinner, so I was not hungry. So from the second example, it is clear that we used past perfect to make it clear which action happened first. And this is often used to explain or give a reason for something in the past. Secondly, we also used past perfect for something that started in the past and continued up to another action. See the example, when he graduated, he had been in London for 5 years. So, he arrived in London 5 years before he graduated and lived there until he graduated or even longer. See the second example, on 20th May, I had worked here for an year. So this was the action which started in the past and still it is continuing. Thirdly, we use it for the unreal or imaginary things in the past. For example, I wish I had not gone to bed so late. Second example, if I had known you were sick, I would have visited you. If you are clear with the rules of past perfect, then here are the practice sentences. You can pause the video and write down the answers of these sentences. To check your answers, resume the video once again. Pause the video once again to check your answers. I hope you all have done the right answers. And the last is past perfect continuous, which is used to show that an ongoing action in the past has ended now. See the example. The workmen had been fixing the roads. So this action is already completed now. It is ended now. Second example, John had been baking cakes. So he was doing it earlier, but now this work is completed. Let's learn about the rules of past perfect continuous tense. To make assertive sentences with subject, we use had been plus first form of verb with ing and then the object. See the example, she had been writing a letter. For negative, we use not with had. She had not been writing a letter. And for interrogative, we use had at the first place, then subject, then been, then first form of verb with ing plus object. Had she been writing a letter? You can pause the video and note down the rules. Let's learn where to use the past perfect continuous tense. We use this tense to describe the action that for how long it took place. Just like the present perfect continuous, but this time the action continues up to a point in the past rather than the present. And we use for or since plus time to describe these sentences. For example, I had been walking for hours before I found the house. He had been playing football since 2005. Secondly, we use this tense for something that finished just before another event in the past. This is usually used to show a result at a time in the past. It is also very similar to present perfect continuous, but the action finishes before another time in the past, rather than finishing before the present. For example, the ground was wet. It had been raining. So, the rain had finished before the time I am describing in the past. We could see the result of the rain. See the second example. The children had been playing, so the room was a mess. So the playing of the children is over now, but we have the result that the room is a mess. It's time to practice sentences. You can pause the video so that you can note down these sentences and try to write the answers. Pause the video and after writing the answers, resume it. Check your answers for your practice sentences. You can pause the video. To recapitulate what you have learned today, consider this chart. Here, the 4 types of past tense, that is simple, continuous, perfect and perfect continuous has been used. The rules are mentioned and one example is used to describe all the rules with their usage. Pause the video to revise this thoroughly. These sentences are for your practice. To assess yourself, you can complete this chart. I hope you all have liked this video. Soon I will be uploading the video for the future tense. Thank you for watching and subscribe A1 English Academy.